Hi, I'm your host Shay, and you are watching or listening to Frame Within a Frame Explained. I hope your week has been going well. If not, I hope next week goes better. My week so far has been going well. I can't complain, and I have been trying to watch more films. I feel as if I've been lacking a lot on how much films I've been watching normally. I try to watch a lot in a month, um especially trying to keep up with what's like new and out. I feel I've been lacking a lot in my watching. So I watched a film called Send Help that came out, I believed, in February. I think it was February. And I watched it. It was on Disney Plus. And I don't know, at the time when I first saw the trailer, I was thinking, this is gonna be so great. I can't wait to watch it. But then I watched it and I think I don't think I had high expectations for it necessarily, but I can't say I was satisfied after watching it, or I don't know. I was definitely grossed out at parts, and I think the film obviously wanted me to be grossed out. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like I have to give it another go before like knocking it off and saying, yeah, this is just not a film for me. Um but yeah, I watched that. I'm trying to remember what else I like watched recently. Um I'm like in the middle of watching a film that is like around like this kind of dark web game, and it's been passed on, kind of like Black Mirror ish type. I think, what's that? There was like a Black Mirror like TV show, but it wasn't TV, like mini series, I guess. Is it a mini series? I don't know. But like an interactive um episode that you can watch or well interact with, obviously. um where you was like a decision based one where you whatever decisions you chose for the character in the film or the episode, I don't know what you would really call it, but the decisions you made would ultimately determine what the like next scene would be, and what would happen to your character, or the character in the, well, yeah, a version of the character that you would be making decisions for. So everyone will get a different like outcome, and you can always go back and change your decisions. And sometimes different decisions, you could start off with a similar decision to someone else, and then you could change, and then it like branches off in different like spaces. um and yeah, I thought that was really cool. But like that inspired Black Mirror thing. But the film, it kind of gave me off like Black Mirror vibes. I'm only, I think, 20 or 30 minutes in. I like, stopped watching it, not because um I just that I mean, I was finding it hard to get into, but I didn't stop it because of that. I stopped it because I was called to like do something, and I wasn't able to finish it, and I just haven't got back to watching it. So that was one thing I watched, and I can't remember if I watched anything else over the weekend. Um yeah, I think that was it. Like the Send Help, and then that um dark web kind of game thing that I watched that I can't even remember the name of, which is really bad. Um and yeah, so I'm trying to watch more. But that is not the main point of today's discussion. I wanted to talk about TV shows and how nowadays they are becoming shorter in the amount of episodes that are being released, almost as if they're like more like mini series than I would say, or like even limited series instead of just like a season of a show. Because when we think of like the traditional sense of like how TV shows normally dished out their episodes, you would normally get like 24, 25, um maybe even more, like 30 episodes of a show. And I feel as of late, shows are now getting like releasing like 8 episodes or 5 episodes. It's like, or some, if you're lucky, sometimes you get 12. So if it's really weird, how even though episodes, like the one episode themselves, they have like hourly long runtime, um it still feels condensed. It still feels like you're missing a lot out on the show. It feels it feels as sorry. It feels as if um there's a lot of story that is being condensed and not everything is well developed. It feels as if things are being rushed, and it's really interesting why companies now are opting to, as like, produce more like quantity out of quality, and just get these episodes out instead of, you know, giving us the long form of how we used to be getting series where it was 24, 25 episodes. Why are companies choosing to shorter their episode amount instead of giving us longer episodes? Is it due to budget? Is it due to the fact that people's attention spans nowadays can't be asked to sit down and watch a whole pile of episodes just to like see what's going on in the show? Unless it's a show that you're really, love, and you find the plot really interesting, something that you really engage with, maybe you'll be able to watch that many amount of episodes. Because I know for me, um I'm not saying I found it easy to watch shows that are really long. It's already enough that nowadays I'm sitting here watching hourly long episodes and trying to binge that. um when before I'd be watching shows where they're probably like 25 minutes long or 30 minutes long, or it's just like the runtime is not as long for the episode. And I don't actually have much of a problem when it comes down to watching a show where it's an hourly long, as unless the show is one of my beloved shows, or like an anime that I really enjoyed, or um a TV show that's like Euphoria, something that I've like enjoyed watching. I will sit down and watch that because there's history behind that, and I've enjoyed the characters and where their journeys are going. So I would sit down and see where their journey is gonna take place in the further seasons or whatnot. So if it's not like something like that, when you're just starting a new show and you're already introduced with the fact that there's not that many amount of episodes, and then you have to sit there and watch hourly long ones to just immerse yourself in the world, and then it feels like a drag to do that. Obviously you're not gonna want to do that, and that's probably why there's a crunch in the amount of episodes. So it's like, okay, we offer this so you don't have to sit through the like 20 amount of episodes that we put out. How about we just crunch it to 12, or crunch it to just 5 or whatever. But I feel like for some shows, or for some um shows that have been long running, because it has actually happened to, I think it happened to Riverdale. As like time went on, the series became quite shorter, I feel as. if it feels like as things started to be like rushed through, um yeah, the show was a mess, and y- I don't think the point of it was not to be this serious tone teen drama show. I mean, it's based on a comic book, so I'm not saying that comic books are supposed to be unserious, but for the book that it was based on, um there's a lot going on in it, and I think, you know, it's a teen drama show, and I think people who are into those kind of things, you'll be able to rock with it and it'll be fine. But I do feel as the show went on and it got to its later seasons, I feel as the amount of episodes that were being released became shorter. I might be mistaken, but it felt as if they were crunching down the amount of episodes they were releasing. And I forgot where I was going with that point, but yeah, I just feel as if it does like ruin a show when you're unable to have like a full like experience with the show. And sometimes a show really does suffer because it needs more episodes to build up the world properly, instead of forcing it into a 12 or 8 episode long um show. um and I felt that with a live action adaptation of an anime called One Piece, as One Piece is still an ongoing show, and there's so many episodes to fill out in just an 8. Like, they normally, I think it's 8 episodes that they release out, so already you have such a big task to do, and you already are limited to 8 episodes. So how the hell are you going to fill as much context into your show when the world of One Piece is so massive? um that would mean you have to do a lot of telling instead of showing, if that would, to, you know, to like sell your story and sell what these characters are about, which may not be as satisfying to people who are new fans or people who are fans from the anime and manga. So it's really a hard selling point in that regards, because you're trying to pitch it to both audiences, and it can only work so far. I think for season 2, it was better, for my opinion. I like season 1. I think season 2 does a good job on building and developing characters in the world of One Piece. Um, I know I've heard a lot of, when the show first came out with the second season, I heard a lot of rumblings of how people felt when characters who are supposed to be later introduced are introduced early. Certain character arcs are not done in the way that they envisioned it, or they're kind of skipped over, or they're brought early than they should be. It's all of that, and I'm bringing up my point that I made in my other episode. Like, it's really hard to appease the masses, um, and I think when you're watching something that's supposed to be a retelling of, there is going to be fresher takes, and I think you have to be open minded to seeing those fresh takes. So that in itself is a whole nother conversation, and talking about um changes to a certain IP and how people feel around that, but more on just the shows being shorter. I do think it comes down to budgets, and how, if it's a new show, the fact that, like I said, attention spans are, people won't be watching really long shows in that regard. So I think the solution to that is, because they're not going to be people who are going to be sitting at home for, hours on hours watching 20 episodes of a show. How are we going to pitch this to them to hook them in and get them watching? The also with the whole binge culture playing a factor in that, how are we going to hook these people to be able to watch it? Let's make the show shorter. And I think that when you're scrolling through Netflix or Prime, the fact that you see maybe a show that seems interesting, but maybe the episodes is quite long, but however, the amount of episodes that you get to sit through is not too bad. If you're sitting through 8 episodes, then you feel like, oh, I can easily binge this, or I can easily watch this, no problem. So you would be more keen to watching that compared to watching something that may be even just 12 episodes long, you know. So I think attention spans plays on that. And obviously, like I said, binge culture has become a big part of how many people watch their shows, and people do not watch it like episodically. Is that a word? Episodically. But like an episode will come out for the week, like every Thursday, say. Now you would be able to, wait every Thursday to watch the next episode. There wasn't be any pressure to now have all the episodes come out and now you can just binge it. So with that, with the introduction of streaming, binge culture, and having not seasonal, weekly releases, um it stops people from just it's like stops people from just sitting down and waiting, like the waiting of another episode. There's no like um intriguement. If I think that's the word I'm looking for in my head, but I don't think that's the actual word that I'm want to use. But yeah, like there's no sense of like excitement anymore when it comes to waiting for the next episode, because that easy demand, like I can get this right now kind of thing, which is great. It's great that we have streaming in that sense, but that's like the downfall of having streaming, when you can't have that weekly. I know like some streaming sites, or some shows on those streaming sites will have season break, where I think it was Bridgerton. um the Bridgerton is the first one that came to mind, but Bridgerton had a break in between the show. I think they released like the first 4 episodes, and then after like some time they released the other 4 episodes. So you have shows doing that, where they will, which is, I remember it being like a thing normally where shows used to do that. um but yeah, weekly releases are not as common anymore. It's just you get it right away, and then people are able to watch it. um and back onto like budget cuts, I think it's definitely a thing where it's now spending a lot of money on just making as many shows as we want, instead of working with the quality of how good the show could be for the site. Because I do feel there's a lack of storytelling and character development when it comes to certain shows, where I feel as if some of the writing for these shows are losing what they want their characters to be, and it's more for just entertainment, the clicks and the likes, and just having people speak about it, and you know repost and make edits or whatnot. It's not necessarily for true entertainment. I think it's just for the surface level of entertainment where there's a lot of shock value things that are happening, but there's not any like there's no there's nothing of um substance in it basically, which is a shame. And I definitely feel that of late with some of the shows I've been watching. Like I mentioned Euphoria, I feel like the season 3 release of the episodes that have come out, I'm on episode 6, and it's just been, I don't know, I feel like the show has definitely lost its touch on what it wanted to be about. And I think it's more due to the writer of the show than the fact that it's a short, like the episodes are shorter. I never felt like the episodes in the past were shorter. I feel like for this season it's definitely short. Like there's only 2 episodes left. There's 2 episodes left, and it's just insane how the show's already done. And from season, like from episode, I would say 5, everything, no, I would say from episode 6, it feels like everything is trying to rush to conclusion, just so when we reach to episode 8, everything is basically wrapped up. Because I don't think after this season there will be a following season, which feels really messy and not like cleaned up. And it's such a shame when a lot of shows get to the last season and you can tell that they're rushing through it. They don't know where their characters are going. They don't know where the plot for the story overall should be going, especially for a show that's heavily on character driven um storylines. It feels really bad, and it's really a hard watch, because this is not where these characters were 2 years, or how many years. I think it's been 3 years since season 2. I can't remember. Yeah, 3 years I think. So it's just crazy in those 3 years um that this is what is being put out. This is the product that we've been waiting for, and this is what the characters are doing. um yeah, it's really a shame. And it's just when a story like that, especially from like season 1 where it was so clear and characters are now being reverted back to, or not even reverted back to, a state of mind that they were in from season 1. It feels like they've become different characters, and it's just like, this is not who they are. This is not who they aspire to be like. So I mean, it's great to see, like, I guess a version of a character where you see so much potential for them, but just because of how life has played out for them. Oh my gosh, I should turn off my notification. It's not nice, I should say, but it's interesting to see characters who have so much potential, want so much for themselves, turn up to be something completely different due to life experiences that they've had. And because for a lot of people, for a lot of us humans, you see your life in a certain way, you have so much potential in you, and you may have been a really driven person in your goals, but sometimes you have things that hold you back, and you're unable to achieve those things, and you become a version of yourself that your younger self wouldn't even thought that you would become of, you know. So it's great to see those kind of storylines, because it shows the versatility that the right word? Versatile, um, of how the world, that we live in, and how humans operate, and how, yeah, it's like a slice of life. It's just like, you know, it's 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 reality. It's reality in what I mean by that. So it's not a shame, but I feel when it feels as if it's not intentional. And I think when your audience can feel that this is not intentionally how I should be interpreting it as, and I am, or I'm still not satisfied with the payoff because it doesn't feel earned to be this kind of storyline. I think it's very clear the writing's on the wall. It's failed. It feels very half heartedly done, and the writing is not there anymore for where these characters should be. Um yeah, it's really a shame. And for another show where I felt as if the fact that it's shorter, and it's always been short, like the 8 episodes has really kind of ruined where the show should have been and how the stories played out, was a show called Gen V. It's a spin-off of The Boys, and I really, really enjoyed season one. I liked all the characters. I felt the relationships and dynamics between everyone was really fun and engaging to watch. And season two came out, and I don't know, it missed the mark completely, I feel. And I was so sad. Apparently the show's cancelled, and I was like, there's no way that the show is cancelled. But after how they left season one, not season one, season two, I'm just like, yeah, that the ending of season two was not it. It was not it. I don't. It's a shame because the first few episodes, I would say up to maybe episode four, it was good. It was laying out the groundwork for what the main point of this season was about to be about. But where it lost the railings was the introduction to a new character, and they were setting them up to be this big bad, and like this big and powerful being, only for, spoilers alert, for the final like the end of the season, to kill them off in a battle, like a fight scene that didn't feel satisfying in the word at all. Like, it wasn't, like, the payoff was horrible, and it just felt like the build up from after episode 4, it was rushed. Like, they were rushing to that climax, and it didn't feel great at all. It felt as if that character, you're building up to this big bad, this mystery person, that character should have had another season, so we like got to be more around this character, got to be in this character's head a bit more, and seeing how they interact. No, let's just kill them off. Just like take them out of the show. We've given you so much lore dumping stuff around this character. Let's just get them out the show. Let's just remove them. In a fight scene where it's just like, oh, now everyone, all these characters who were dealing with all these issues with their superpowers, and still learning about how to control their powers and all of that stuff, you know all of a sudden they're like so powerful, they can just like you know eliminate this super bad person who we've been spending the whole season building up to them, only to remove them in the last episode. It just felt like there was more that needed to happen for that moment to really truly pay off, and it didn't work out, and it's a shame. I it was so uh I can't say it in any other way other than it was really a shame, because you have these well written characters who, like, again, really lovely relationships. We got to see those relationships, you know, like, be more flourished out in season 2, and also see different dynamics, spend more time with one another, and just all of that was just like thrust aside, and it was like, nah, let's forget about that and just do whatever. Let's just do whatever. It was so bad. It was so bad. And I think that's what I mean by shows being shorter. It kind of ruins the whole show, because it does feel as if maybe we should be thinking more on what kind of story we're telling. Where should these characters be going in the story? Does it necessarily need to be cut down to just 8 episodes? Why does it have to be just 8 episodes? Why can't the show be longer? And I think streaming has really like damaged the art form of just having a longer season. And also TikTok, social media overall, mainly TikTok though, has like damaged our way of consuming long form content. I think with the whole short form stuff, and also just our attention span, like we need multiple things going on for us to be able to indulge into something. It's just, yeah, it's just crazy. But I think I'm gonna stop there, as I think I've like ran out of, or like ran through all my main points, and I think I'm just gonna be repeating some of my same points just in different ways. Let me know your thoughts. If you want to follow the pod, you can find us on Instagram, you can find us on Spotify, and you can find us on YouTube and TikTok. um on Instagram, I post updates, guests who are coming on, um, other things, and the same on TikTok as well. YouTube, I try to basically do the same on Spotify, re-upload the episodes on there so you can listen to or watch um the episodes on there, and on Spotify the same here. So yeah, I think I've said all that I need to. Um so I will see you in the next one, and bye.